It's hard to let go of your old ego and who you were
And your
and,
identity, right? That
until
old
you know the
identity.
new one. So
Right.
you need to do that, or you end up spending a life in a neutral zone.
Right. And you don't want to really focus on what's gone. You want to focus what you have now and where you are now.
He puts his pants on, one leg at a time, just like every other person. Now, I know you've heard that before.
I've heard it as she.
She, okay. She puts her pants on. Does she wear pants?
Yes.
Okay, but here's the point. We've heard it before, and it's used in referring to a person of an elevated social status, like a celebrity or a movie star or a star athlete.
Or maybe even a person with an inflated sense of superiority of themselves. Someone with maybe a big ego, like a corporate executive.
And you know, we all have egos. And egos are important because it helps us with our self esteem and our self importance. And we need and want to feel good about ourselves. But what happens? What happens when our ego is tied into our careers? And then you retire.
Maybe you had access to the corporate jet or a huge expense account or maybe a company car, a corner office, the list goes on. When those perks that were part of your identity and ego go away, you can feel empty, irrelevant, unimportant.
Yeah, and it feels bad. And it happens. It happens to everybody because you do go through this transition. But today we're going to talk about ways and something that you can do about it. Because we had good successful careers.
We did, and we both struggled with ego over time, and it was the cause of many of our confrontations, even with each other.
That's right.
I worked for a Fortune 200 company, and Mark was the owner of his own business. You know, my ego was driven by title and success and climbing the ladder and engagement with my team and the size of my team and my salary, my perks like the corporate jet and expense accounts.
Yeah, and honestly,
Geez, I miss a lot of
I
that
know,
now that
and
I'm
you were
thinking
good.
about
You
it.
you were the big cheese. Now you were one of the senior executives in a huge company,
And
you
I
worked,
loved it.
You loved it, and you worked really hard to get there. For me, it was a little bit different. I was an entrepreneur. You know, it was a much smaller company. 50 employees, but it was a family name. I was a fourth generation owner. I was the CEO, and I had a nice salary. I had great perks, status in the business community.
Right.
And our company was 105 years old when we sold it. So that's both of us had a lot at stake
Right. We had
when
a lot
we left.
we had a lot of the corporate ego, and don't get me wrong, we also had some personal ego, which I think everyone shares,
Right.
right? Success as a mom or a dad, as a husband or a wife, relationship success with friends and roles in your community, nonprofits, boards you sat on. You know, all of that was part of ego on the personal side.
But here's the thing. What happens when you leave your company? Because it happened to us. Does your ego get deflated? It probably does. And what does it feel like? It doesn't feel great. So today we want to talk to you a little bit about some ways to get around that.
Because really, once we left our careers, a few things happened to us very quickly. We immediately felt irrelevant, and we got into a bit of an identity crisis. You know, what is my title? When people ask me what do, what do I say? I don't have a card. I don't have a corporate kind of persona. I only have who I am today.
Plus, we also, we're not, that's saying we're not getting any younger. We are getting older. And maybe we're too old to learn new skills.
I don't think so.
Well, obviously we're not because we're doing this now. I mean, going from being an insurance broker CEO to this, huge life change,
Right.
huge skills we had to learn. But our egos got a good kick in the butt.
And today we're going to give you techniques to transition your corporate or career ego out and focus more on your personal or your retired self-ego because you still need that.
Now, there's a couple of YouTube episodes we want to reference to you, and they'll be in the links down below. One is creating a new identity in retirement. It's a great episode. And then we have the 3-step series on retiring, 5 to 10 years out,
The
1 to 5,
transitions.
and then the last year at work. They're both great YouTube videos to watch.
So let's jump into the 6 techniques to transition your ego. And let's start with number 1. Create a practice of self-affirmation. That might sound very basic to you, but if you start to write down what I call daily I ams, you start to believe it. It becomes part of your mantra. Your internal conversation in your head moves to, I'm a great mother. I'm a great wife. I am not a great cook, but Mark is.
So this idea of writing these I ams, it was new for us 3 years ago. But we both, on a daily basis, do that. It's part of our morning journaling because to reinforce who you are in a positive way really, really helps a lot.
You know, and the list grows as you grow your identity and your community in retirement. You know, you can move from kind of who you are to what you're contributing and add those as some of your daily I ams.
Now, the second technique to work on this is really your identity. We talked about that earlier, and we talk about this a lot in our Your Retirement Game Plan because it is a huge process that you're going to go through. In this great book we reference, The Way of Transition by William Bridges, there's 3 phases you go through in a transition. First phase is letting go. The second phase, you're in this neutral zone. And then the third phase is when you figure out who the new you is. And that's so critical to do. It's a great book. It's a great read. But it's hard to let go of your old ego and who you were.
And your identity, right?
Until you know the new one.
Right.
So you need to do that or you end up spending a life in a neutral zone.
Right. And you don't want to really focus on what's gone. You want to focus what you have now and where you are now. Things like maybe, you know, no more corporate jet, but I've worked to a place where I can always fly business or first class. No more company car, but did you love driving the 4 doors?
Yeah.
You may
buy the
have
car you want.
Yeah, freedom to buy the car that you want. So the third technique that we're talking about today is to surrender your need for control. During your career, you may have been in charge, making all the decisions all day long. Big ones, little ones, all of them. Let others start to make decisions, and this could be a big change for you, and we both really struggled with this.
We did, and I think that I would say, to be fair and to be honest, you struggled with it more. Here we go. You didn't want me to do certain things around the house because you were used to doing it yourself. But the thing here is to communicate about it. So when you start letting go, you need to let go, but you need to let someone catch it. And
I mean, it's like that thing where you say, I'll go to the grocery store, and then you call me 9 times from every aisle.
Are you allowed to swear on YouTube?
No.
That's such BS.
It is not.
It is. So the fourth technique, this is what Jody needs to spend more time doing, is to enjoy silent moments with yourself. To look inward at who you are and how you treat your husband. No? Look, silent moments with yourself are important. And it can be hard at first because quieting your mind takes work.
It does
It's funny
take
to
work.
think that. We both meditate. It's a great tool to use, but it's hard to learn how to do it. We both use Headspace, a great app.
There are a couple of other ones, but that one
yeah.
we tend to both use. And it's a good place to start, you know, as well as, and if you've seen our New Year's resolutions YouTube, you know, journaling is a good place to start too. And that's something I need to commit to.
And we both love to watch the sun come up or the sun go down. And sometimes that means you're up at 5 a.m. to watch it. But it's a great time to be quiet and just to think.
The fifth technique is to really begin a conscious effort of practicing gratitude. There are so many ways that you can do this. You can do it before you go to bed at night. You can think of the one thing that you're grateful for. You can do what Mark does as part of his morning ritual and write 3 gratitudes every day.
Or, you know, just make a practice of telling someone every single day what you're grateful for and what you're grateful for about them. You know, living a grateful life allows you to be more humble. You feel more alive. It's easier to love other people. And frankly, it's easier to be loved.
The sixth technique is to volunteer. And we bring volunteering up a lot in the wisdom sharing category and certainly in the your retirement game plan. There's nothing more satisfying than helping a fellow human being.
And this idea of wisdom sharing in retirement, it's really, as we're going through this and getting deeper and working with more clients, it's such a great way to instantly feel relevant again, to feel needed, and to feel like you're making a difference.
And really, it's feeding that retired ego,
Yeah.
that retired self ego.
Now, we hope these 6 techniques will help you with this process of creating a new ego, not focusing on what you've lost, but who you are today. You know, better understand what your ego was during your career, but let you know that you can let go of that and change. And more importantly, and most importantly, what you can change into.
Now, listen, if you enjoyed this, please share with your friends. And also, please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below.
Don't forget to join our free Facebook community. The link is below as well. Jody and I are in there each week going live, taking your questions. It's a different level of interaction. So please do that.
Thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.